Astrid,
Ziad.
great to have you here.
Thank you, Ziad.
You've been such a supporter of the Financial Council,
Thank you.
and
Honored to do so.
so happy to have you among us.
Honored to do
Astrid,
so.
what particular aspects of your background and upbringing have shaped your principles in life?
So it's very interesting because when I was 16, I got my first taste of diplomacy as a liaison aide with a huge international conference. And
What conference was that?
it was a World Bank infrastructure and transportation conference.
As early as 16?
Yes, focusing
Wow.
on Latin America, the region. And while it was great pomp and ceremony, I found it so ironic that outside the great conference hall and outside the great hotel, we had potholes everywhere in the road.
Irony. What an
The
irony.
irony of it. And I sat during the conference and I thought, this is insane. This is completely insane that we're
Indeed.
here and we're talking about these grandiose things and the whole asphalt is full of potholes. And I then and there really realized that the government is a waste of time. It's a waste of time. Centralized government is a waste of time and money. Very corrupt. So that led me to really think about infrastructure when it comes to government and private initiative, as young as that. I'm also a libertarian in my beliefs. And therefore, do we believe in big government? No, we don't. We believe that government, well, a lot of us may believe that government should be non-existent, which would be great, free market enterprise. If we need to have government, there should be a minimal gatekeeper checklist of maybe this law, that law, but they should not be owner, operator, funder of projects because we will have potholes in roads forever. We have potholes in roads forever because of that. And also my background, I've grown up in Miami and South Florida. And I have seen and also have partners who brought in from both US and immigrant capitalist money and projects within Miami, and it turned Miami and South Florida from this kind of middle retiree haven to this mecca. And it's all private investment. Mm-hmm. It's all private projects that did that over a 20-year period. So all of this has really, really shaped my, my very strong belief that governments really need to take a back seat in commerce and definitely infrastructure.
That's very interesting. Hands-on, absolutely.
It is. It's like government, they get the money, they get the funds, they do the big conference, they do the big ceremony, and everything is just left to waste. Everything's just left at the wayside because the money's it's pocketed.
And nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed.
After all these years.
Nothing
after all
has
the
changed.
Education. So what do you think is the biggest obstacle, keeping us from solving, this failing U.S. infrastructure? What are the obstacles?
The obstacles are definitely centralized government spending. During the Biden administration, during this time, there's an alleged bipartisan Infrastructure and Investment Jobs Act. It's $1.2 trillion. That's supposedly an investment, and it's $550 billion over the next these years up to 2024, right? Very convenient, up to 2024 for investment. Have you seen the investment? Where has $550 billion gone?
In the
pockets. And if you see any improvement in infrastructure at all, it's where their cronies are. It's going to be around maybe one community where where they want to have the money go into. But are you seeing the money go to rural Nebraska? Are you seeing roads, bridges, hospitals, any of that being built up in rural areas, the deep south? Not at all. There's no maintenance and there's no innovation or quality because their spending is purely governmental and it's purely the government being the owner, the operator, and the funder. When you have that, there is no innovation. There's no real money going to infrastructure, and there is no innovation, because innovation comes from the private sector.
Absolutely. So having said that, what are some of the immediate solutions to U.S. infrastructure? It's got to be radical, because this is not working year after year, decade after decade.
It's not working because we don't have a lot of grassroots movements for infrastructure. It's just left to the feds or it's left to the state. But you find where it really works, like Miami, like South Florida, is where the municipal government allows capital to flow into the areas. So you're not blocked by federal regulations. You're not blocked by state regulations. They would take the back seat. For instance, and I know this is international, but it's nice to be able to have a comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Central Europe, Benelux, Belgium, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands.
Yeah.
They've taken a back seat in terms of any form of like really managing private sector, and they have allowed these very innovative both private investors and private companies to come in. In the Netherlands, they just built their first 3D printed bridge, and it's fully seismic, fully disaster response capable. Do we have anything like that here in the US? We have nothing like that. Why? When Silicon Valley purports to be able to be like cutting edge.
So let me ask you a question. So what percentage of investments in infrastructure comes from government in the United States versus private sector? Roughly. It's all government?
So we do have private sector, but the spending, the government wants to be owner, operator, funder as well. So in terms of private public partnerships, they want to be part of the operations, and they should not be.
No.
They should really be just, okay, well, we have this regulation checklist, or we have this checklist. The private sector, you meet that, and then you just run with the innovation.
So private sector has no power whatsoever in managing this infrastructure project.
They only in pockets, only in certain pockets.
I see.
Like South Florida. South Florida was very open and amenable to having strong private owner-operator funding come in. And this is how it worked.
So basically, there's a lack of incentive for the private sector to invest in infrastructure projects.
There's a lot of red tape, very, very low quality from the public sector.
And low returns.
And very low returns.
So why would anybody invest in that sector?
Exactly. The only way to
So what's the solution?
The solution really is definitely not federal. It's really not state, even though you do need state. It's to go to county commissioners, city of Miami, city. A lot of people ignore that.
Yeah, but what's in it for them, even if you lobby them? What's in it for them? The city commissioners, what? They don't make money. They don't do anything. So what is... I mean, usually if you want to push something, somebody has to have an incentive to do it. What's their incentive, if any?
It would have to be a piece of the pie.
Wow. Wow.
It would have to be a piece of the pie. Because we do have a lot of corruption. We have at all levels of government, we have corruption. You know, it's very funny.
Really sad to see
we call other countries banana republic and third world. We have the same corruption. We just hide it under certain ordinances. That's all.
In your opinion, what is the role of the Financial Policy Council in shaping U.S. infrastructure policy? Can we do anything, or is it really hopeless?
It's definitely not hopeless. The Financial Policy Council is a bedrock of supporting wealth creation and supporting capitalist values. We have all talked before about really needing grassroots initiatives to be able to have a call to action for private investment, not only in infrastructure, but in commerce in general. Of course. So, I mean, we've already started in terms of providing knowledgeable information via blogs, but they need to be able to have a call to action to private investment, to be able to have consortiums of private investment on the grassroots level. Now, I know that's a very general statement and it would need fleshing out, but that would be the direction to go into.
So, what message really do you have for the FPC supporters to build such a grassroots movement, to start making a difference, to start making a dent? What message?
If every day, every single day, FPC supporters should be supporting capitalist values. Every day we drive on these roads, we use every single utility of infrastructure to be able to educate ourselves, have commerce, right? Infrastructure is the skeleton of the body of commerce. When the skeleton falls, we cripple. We have a failing economy. Do we really want that? We don't want that. So our call to action really is, I mean, we have been, especially this year, really ramping up a lot of advice. And we have advised, I know we have one bit of advice is innovating, really investing in innovative industries. We had said innovate for electricity, innovate in industrial diamond development, a new take on an old coal industry. The things like this that we really, really need to be able to look at innovation, to be able to invest in. And on the other side, on the data side, today we're having Barry Moniz, he's having his event in cybersecurity.
Yep.
Very involved with net zero, both Barry and Dan Wong. They're very involved in net zero initiatives for cyber security, for cyber attacks. That's part of infrastructure. That's the IT part of infrastructure. So one, get informed, come to our events, and then partner with our knowledgeable experts. You know, partner with people like Barry and cyber. Exactly. So not only read our blogs and be informed, but come and talk and be able to partner with us. And that's how we create this consortium of private investment.
Yeah, I get you. Well, I would love to have you lead the effort on that. You have a lot of resources to work with. We're increasing, the membership.
Yes.
Reaching out to a lot of people. But yes, you're right. The concept, the whole thing, the bedrock is wealth creation.
Yes.
And then it trickles down to all the sectors.
Yes.
Out of which infrastructure, both IT and physical infrastructure, is key.
Everything is linked to infrastructure.
Absolutely.
Supply chain is infrastructure, real estate is everything. It's the skeleton.
It is.
It's the skeleton of our body of commerce.
I want you to be really pushing much more towards that. Bring in more experts such as yourself on board so that we can get to that critical mass.
Yes.
I thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you, Ziad. I will always support you, you know that.